Hi everyone, welcome back. Today we're cooking an amazing French dessert called Il Flotto. So let's make a start. Roll the intro. So the absolute best thing about this recipe is it's so few ingredients. The basics of it is eggs, sugar and milk. And that's it really. So Il Flotto is basically, well, the translation is floating islands. So what it is a custard, and on top a poached meringue, and that floats, and on top of that is some sort of either toffee, but today we're going to do some sugar work, which is dead easy and looks really impressive. So the first thing we're going to do, just to get started, we're going to put the milk to warm up on the hob. So it's really important at this stage, we're going to get the milk on to what you choose to heat your milk. So normally we wouldn't need something this big, but the whole ethos behind the recipe is that we're using every bit of the egg to do a different thing, and we're using the one pan for multiple reasons. So this pan's going to heat the milk, which is then going to poach the meringue, and then after we take the meringue out, that same milk is going to do the custard. So it's important that because we're poaching in here, the meringue can sit on top and swell without hitting the top. So a nice deep pan for this. So we're going to put the milk on, half a litre, 500 ml. We're just going to put that on a medium heat. So as the milk's on and warming up, there's a few things we need to do now. So we're going to separate the egg yolks and egg whites. So egg whites in one, and egg yolks in the other. So one's for the meringue and one's for the base of the custard. So it's important to get them completely separate. So into the meringue, into the egg whites should I say. So we're just going to start the meringue. Of course you can use an electric mixer or KitchenAid or something like that. I'm just going to whisk it up by hand and run it relatively stiff. It's been a while since I did a meringue by hand. Once we've got it relatively stiff, we're just going to add the sugar in. Not necessarily all in one lump, but it doesn't matter too much. So that's about 100 grams in there, but really that's a bit give or take because it's sort of to your taste. And you notice now that sugar's in there, it's lovely and smooth and glossy. So that's ready. And a good way to test if you mixed it enough, just like that. So because now this meringue's ready and our milk's nice and hot, we're just going to take 2 big spoons and we're going to do a quenelle of meringue and poach that. So the milk at the moment isn't super hot. It's just a few bubbles coming up from the bottom. So we're going to get our meringue. And just float it on top of the milk like that. You can of course just blob this in, but it's nice for them to have a bit of shape. So we'll cover them, and they really just need a few minutes. Don't take the lid off, but when you think they're ready, just give them a little touch, and if they're nice and firm and bouncy, take them out. So while the meringues are on, here's what we can do. Now this is for the sugar work that goes on top. So really it's decoration, but it is an integral part of the recipe as well. So we're just going to sugar in the pan, and you don't need much because it is just for melting for the decoration. On a low heat, and the trick is we're not going to put anything in there but sugar, and don't touch it. Okay, it's tempting to stir it. As soon as you stir it, the sugar will crystallise and it won't make good for the sugar work. So just leave it alone until it's melted. Keep a close eye on it though, because you don't want it to go too far. So as we're waiting for that sugar, I think these meringues should be about ready. So they're pretty firm, which means they're done. So we're just going to take them out of the milk. Really carefully. And we can just put them to one side until everything's ready. So we're going to crank the heat up on that milk just to make sure it's nice and hot. We're just going to get the egg mixture together, and all it is the egg yolks, the 3 egg yolks from earlier, and 60 grams of sugar. And we're just going to mix them together until they're just nice and pale. Just like that. So you can put at this stage a little bit of vanilla essence or vanilla pudding. I've actually used vanilla sugar, which that's just because what we had in. But you do need that vanilla taste in the custard. So that base is ready. We're going to take the warm milk and we're going to add it to the yolks. You don't want to do it the other way around because then they'll scramble. So we're just going to add this in. Just a little bit. Incorporate it. A little bit more. Once you can feel like the sugar's sort of dissolved in there, you want to just add it back to the pan. And we'll just bring the heat up a little bit more on the pan, just until it just starts to thicken, and then take it off, and then that's ready. So just keep the custard moving all the time, and as soon as it's up to temperature, it's going to just start to thicken and it'll coat the back of the spoon. So just keep an eye on it, keep watching. The sugar's getting there now. See the edges just starting to melt now. Still, don't stir it, just leave it as it is. So the custard is about there now. So a good way to test. So we don't want it kind of thick and gloopy like English custard. It's more of a creme anglaise. So a good way to test is if it coats the back of a spoon. So if you do that and the line stays, then that's ready. All that sugar's melted, slightly translucent, that's ready to come off now. So all we've got to do now is just wait for this to cool a little. So the technique I'm going to teach you once this cools down is really, really simple to do, but looks really impressive. So all you'll need to do it is the sugar, obviously, a fork and your steel, or something long and round, basically. We're about ready. long, thin, just like that. So really, really easy. You've got to be relatively quick, might make a little bit of a mess. So I'm going to take the spoon out, I'm going to get the fork, walk around all that sugar, and then just pull a bit out. And we're just going to go like this. Nothing fancy. And as we've got that, that'll just slide off. And we just gather all these strands up. Don't crush it too much. And you're left with that. An amazingly intricate thing which looks really impressive but was dead easy to make. So we're just going to do a few of them while we've got the sugar here. Again, just like that. And then just slide that off and just gather it all up really gently. And there you are. So a really good tip for cleaning this pan, because the sugar is going to go rock hard. Fill the pan with water, put it back on the heat and boil it. And then once it's reached a boil, pour that water down the sink and your pan is pretty much clean. Just your normal clean then, because it is such a nightmare to try and get that off the pan if you leave it. Just going to plate up now. I'm just putting the custard into this just to make it a little bit easier. So we've got the custard first, and then our meringues. Just gently place them on top. And then with the sugar work, we just rest them on top of there. Et voila, Il Flotto. Really generous dessert. You want the meringues big, loads of custard, and there we are. So let's have a taste of this. So we want a little bit of everything. Sugar, the meringue and the custard. And it's just amazing. The meringue's so fluffy, and to think that's all 3 basic ingredients, you know, is amazing. So give it a go, guys. It's really, really easy. Lovely. You know, you can present it loads of different ways. You can do the sugar work different. You could do toffee sauce, little individual bowls. If you're reminiscent of the 80s, you could put hundreds and thousands on if you want. So yeah, mix it up. It's a really good, it's quite a technical dish, but it's not as scary as it seems. You can do the meringues in advance. So give it a go, and make sure, if you do make it, post your picture on one of our social media platforms and we'll let you know what we think.